Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining from. So happy to have you here. Whilst AI have been with us for many, many decades, it is fair to say that the breakthroughs in the last 2 years or so have been phenomenal, and it has been mind-blowing, fundamentally changing the way that we work and the way that we interact with each other in the workplace forever. And the level of uncertainty, regardless of what generation you find yourself in, bearing in mind we have 5 generations working in today's modern workplace, there is a level of uncertainty and perhaps angst. Welcome, everyone. My name is Lorene Phillips, and I am the founder and CEO of Clarendon Wallace, a boutique professional development consulting firm. And I will be your host for today. I am so delighted to really be addressing this particular topic around AI. Is it business as usual or not? With Eugene Phillips, and I am going to ask Eugene to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about his role at CCS and a little bit about what he brings to the table around this conversation.
Thank you, Lorene. It's so good to be here. Hello, everyone. My name is Eugene Phillips. I'm the VP for Service Management at CCS. CCS is arguably the leading IT service provider on the island, and we work with businesses in the financial, in the insurance industry, and even inside of all other industries as well. Technology is our game, and that's what we do. My role there specifically is around delivering a service. Excuse me. One of the things that we do, especially in the AI space, is that we also assist companies with their AI and their strategy within the AI field. My background is in IT, love IT. I've been in IT for over 30 years. It's just something that I do. I think I was born loving IT. And so therefore, it's a joy, a privilege for me to be a part of that, especially in this new era of AI. So it's good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about who you are. And if anyone has had the privilege of meeting Eugene and or seeing him present, you will experience his passion for this particular subject. Anything AI is his thing. So we have about 30 minutes or so. So I really want you to just focus, be engaged, avoid any distraction. And I'm going to challenge you to really find out what you can learn differently, be curious, and I hope that information and insights that we share today will be something that will be supportive of you as we all move forward. Notice I said we, including myself, in embracing the change that is coming, the change that's ahead, and the change that is already here. So actually, this morning in my inbox arrived an email from McKinsey, and it's an email, I guess, that comes out routinely. I think it's every week. It's called McKinsey Perspectives. And they were sharing some recent findings by the Harvard Gazette that actually I thought was perfect timing for today's conversation. And it was very optimistic. It actually indicated that we are adapting at a much faster rate to generative AI than we did in the past to, say, PCs or even the internet. Okay, so if you're feeling that you're behind the ball in terms of embracing AI, generally speaking, we are doing a much better job than we think we are, okay? And then also in the US, and you know that has some implications in the world, 4 out of 10 adults are incorporating AI, not only in their workplace, but also in their personal lives as well. So I thought that was very, very encouraging for those that may have some angst around it or some concerns or some issues around uncertainty about what that means for them, to say that we're actually doing an okay job so far. Okay, so I am going to just dive right in, and I'm going to ask Eugene the first obvious question, since he's so passionate about AI and all things technology. What is AI?
Okay, AI is artificial intelligence. That's what AI stands for. And most recently, we've all heard about ChatGPT. We've all used Microsoft Edge, the browser that's got Bing. Bing is AI. It's got GPT. GPT is the engine of artificial intelligence, which stands for generative pre-trained transformer. So basically, it generates text. When we ask a question, it'll generate text for us. It's pre-trained in that it's got, imagine all of the information in the entire world at your fingertips. So GPT takes all of that information, which is pre-trained. It talks about, it goes through and looks at history of items and discussions, and it'll take that and then it'll transform that based on your question to provide an output for you, text that you can read. So it's really artificial intelligence based on a limitless amount of data.
Right, but to clarify as well, thank you for that great definition, is that the information that is in AI is provided by humans, right? So it's limited in terms of what we put in.
That's correct.
Okay.
That is very correct, yes.
All right, so one of the things you mentioned earlier was around prompts, right? Walk us a little bit through what's good prompting and not so good prompting, because if we all go on to, say, ChatGPT, or if we do Copilot, and we all put in different prompts, trying to get to a particular goal in mind, it could generate different results, right? I may go in with a very basic question, but perhaps if I ask a more refined question, I can get a much better response. So can you tell me a little bit about the art of effective prompts when using AI?
That's a very good question, Levine. And I think the thing to go in with is to always know what it is that you want to get from AI. Don't think of it as being this artificially intelligent robot. Just think of it being as your VA, your assistant, or your person that knows all of the information. So the first thing I would say is understand and know what it is that you want before you engage with AI. It's like going into a car shop and looking for a specific car. We don't go in and say, hey, give me this car. We say, I want that car because I know what it is that I want. It's the same with AI and prompting. Know what it is that you want to get from AI, and then ask those questions. I always like to say I'm talking to a person. I'm not talking to a computer. I'm not talking to this AI bot or whatever it is. I'm talking to a person. So therefore, I'm going to ask as if I'm talking to a person. And I'd be very specific as to what I want. And then also, if you get the first response, then you say, okay, I like them. I actually talk to it like it is a person. I'll say, thank you so much for that information. However, I'd like to see a little bit more skewed into this. I want you to look at this part of the equation and let me know what you come up with that. And I'd be specific. I want it in list form. I don't want it in paragraph form. I want you to list out starting with the most relevant to the least relevant. So I talk to it like I'm talking to a person.
That's really interesting, because I think there's a mindset around that. I'm thinking, as you're talking, I'm thinking about how I talk to Alexa at home. I probably raise my voice at poor Alexa and shout more than I need to, because you probably can hear me at just the regular pitch of voice. But it's really to really connect with AI on a level as almost a peer, right? So as if like how I'm talking to you, and being
Right.
able to have that dialogue with that specific and refined requests, so that you can enable the AI to be more accurate, or provide you with the information you need in the way that you need it. So, some of the data is suggesting just under 60% of individuals that are interested and excited about AI indicate that they need training. So one of the questions I'd love to ask is, what are some of the things that organizations can do to help to get AI to just not be a buzzword, but to be something that can be incorporated in and get employee buy-in?
Another great question. And these are some of the things that we also assisted at CCS with in terms of integrating that into an organization. I will always go back to, first and foremost, in order to help it not to be a buzzword, you need to make sure that the data that you have inside your organization is accurate, is complete, is comprehensive, because AI will only give you data based on information based on the data that you have. So the very first thing is it has to work. So you have to have good data. The second part of it is training. I can't emphasize that enough. Train your people to know more than just this robot. Into it is a tool that we use. If they know that it's a tool, just like we use Excel, just like we use Word, then they will get a better understanding of how they can use that for the benefit of the company. So I would definitely use those two, and continuous training, by the way, on that would be a great thing that I would suggest.
I like how you mention AI as a tool, not something to be afraid of, but something to master, just like you said, just like you master how to use Excel spreadsheet or any other application. This is one other application that you will learn to master so that it can improve and enhance your productivity. I know as an entrepreneur, the ability to use AI has really allowed me to get more work done and frees up my brain's capacity to really devote my intellect and my innovative capacity to that part of the business that can really drive the growth of my business. So it's a way to work smarter and to not get caught up in the weeds and in the rut of things that can be taken care of through AI. So one of the questions that I do have is, I think that some people see AI as a shortcut, right? So you just type in a few things, it spurts out whatever it is, and you copy paste and you send that out. And I'm speaking from personal experience where I've actually received an email from a potential client that was clearly AI. Why? Because the tone was not right. It was so artificial. It also repeated itself. So the first paragraph sounded like the third paragraph, and the email was incredibly long. It was like 4 paragraphs to what should have been maybe a 5-sentence email. So one of the things that I really want to emphasize as well is that AI should be used to enhance the way that you work, and you get the final say, right? So it's your job to make sure that your work product is at the highest level, that you're checking it, that the data is correct, that, like you said earlier, if there are any quotes, if there are any references, it's your responsibility to fact check that as a professional before you send that out. No one's going to say, oh, it's AI, so you're forgiven. So I really, really want to emphasize that before you press that send button, that you make sure that you are applying your uniqueness, you're bringing your skills in, and you're not using AI just as a crutch to just get things done. Okay. All
That's a
right.
that's a that's a real that's a that's I want to pause on that because
Sure.
it's just like, the autopilot in an aircraft. Autopilot can actually land a plane, but the pilots do not allow it to land that way. What happens? Autopilot will fly all the way, and then the pilot will take over, even though autopilot can land it, because they need that human intervention to make sure that the humans are there. They can adapt. They can sometimes adapt much quicker. So it's the same thing, just like what you said, that we need to make sure that the human in train is always a part of the AI integration.
Absolutely. All right. So, and I will say, I'll share my own personal journey around AI. Um, I'm with it now. I'm with it now because I've just seen how powerful it is, and I'm opening up myself to learning more and to become a student again. Listen, we came through a pandemic. We learned how to master Microsoft Teams. We know how to master Zoom. When I started this practice, the only thing I knew was Skype for Business. I had
That's
no
right.
idea what Zoom was. I remember typing
Yes.
in, what is Zoom? So we have all we've all been done an amazing job in terms of just being agile and being adaptive and learning and morphing and evolving and growing. And this is another opportunity to continue to do so. So the next question I have is, what trends are there? What trends are you seeing out there that you think will be, that you're excited about, that will help to shape the future of work as it relates to AI?
Great question. I am very excited about. So most of us understand the generative part of AI, the Chat GPTs, the Bing browser. We've seen that, the Copilot, which is a generative AI. But the thing that I'm really excited about is it moves into what they call machine learning. And machine learning is not just generating responses based on a lot of data, but it's then also taking that data and being able to start to predict and start to assist you in, for instance, in a sales process. They can start to make recommendations as opposed to not just the facts, but then saying, you know what, based on that, we recommend that you start to do this, or pick up the phone, give that client a call, because we're seeing in the trends of that data that they're going to be open to completing that sale, for instance. So machine language is a really big thing. We actually are Salesforce integrators here at CCS, and Salesforce is one of those products that have fully integrated generative AI and machine learning to the point that in the sales process, it can start to predict and suggest actions in the cadence for in the sales process. So very excited about that, because now you're going to start to be a little bit more predictive in terms of how you operate in business.
I love that. So it's becoming I don't want to say human-like, but more intuitive in
Correct.
terms of the information that is providing for us to help us to make better decisions and better decisions
Yes.
faster. So I'm curious, as you're talking about that, now I remember back in the day when PCs arrived and I no longer had to use a typewriter. If anyone's on this call and they remember typewriters, and God forbid you made a mistake and you had to go back, you had to do the wide over, and you had to make sure that it was dry. You blow on it, that's dry, and then you had to make sure when you push that, whatever that letter was, that it went right to the perfect spot. And if it didn't, you have to crumple that paper, throw it away, and start all over. What a journey we have taken. So even at that time, there was a fear around the fact that, people are going to be replaced because these machines are coming in and they're much faster, etc. But clearly that did not happen. We have more jobs, we have more people working. So for those that are fearful that even with machine learning, that some jobs are going to be obsolete, what do you have to say about that?
I would say that there's nothing to be afraid of in terms of, I would say not to be afraid of it, because it is a tool. It's evolution. Literally, it's evolution. Just like what you said before, we were writing things and we had the typewriter. Now on our phones, we have everything we need here. It's just like evolution. For instance, you made a reference to writing an email. If you make a mistake in an email, guess what? You don't have to go and retype. All you have to say is, you know what, rewrite that and do this, take that out and go forward. What it does, it creates more of an efficiency of what we are able to do, which allows us to focus on things that are more important and more priority in our jobs, in our work lives. So I would say it's a great opportunity for us. Instead of to be fearful, it gives an opportunity. You know what? I've always wanted to do this. I've always wanted to learn this skill. I always wanted to. Now you can do that. And so I would definitely say, do not be afraid of it, for some other reasons as well, in terms of the fact that, artificial intelligence is just that, artificial. There's always going to be that human element that's in there. So even with the typewriter and even with the phones that we have, we still are in control. So I think we just have to be very mindful of that and very deliberate in how we utilize the technology.
Yeah, it's, like I said earlier, I think it's having a shift in our, it's almost like a paradigm shift in understanding that AI, we are leading AI and AI is not leading us. So we are in the driver's seat and we determine how we want to use AI, how much we want to integrate it, and always remembering to maintain your voice and to maintain your uniqueness and that authenticity of who you are, to bring that into your work product, and to make sure that uniqueness is on it. Because if we're all typing in the same prompts and we're all getting the same responses and we're all sending the same thing off to a potential employer or to our bosses or to the CEO or to whoever, then, what is that saying about us? So we need to still find ways to stand out and make sure that our unique voice and our unique skill set and our offerings, whether that be about being innovative and creative, etc., that we are still highlighting those things as well and not believing that AI has all the answers.
I agree. And I think in addition to that, regulation is something that we also need to be very mindful of. The way that we do it. I know that, for instance, when ChatGPT came out, the whole country of Italy, they banned ChatGPT until the lawmakers could sit down, go over what this new tool is, this AI is, and come up with a plan that would help to regulate the use of AI. I think that's very important, a part of the evolution of artificial intelligence. We don't just let it have a mind of its own, but we sit down and we regulate how we use it. So I think that's key as well.
Okay, so I have a really fun question. Can you tell me something you can share that you've used ChatGPT for this week?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, if I have to do a report on the operations within the company, I can go and using an internal copilot, which is internal to our ecosystem. I think it's very important to understand that it's not ChatGPT because there's security implications there. But using internal in our ecosystem, I can scan through all of my emails, all of my documents, all of my Teams chats, and come up with a report for the last quarter of the operation. What did we do? What were the highlights for it? What were some of the challenges that we had? And come back with a report that I now have the basis for me now to go in and to make it mine, to complete what it is mine, because it's all of my emails, et cetera. But it pulls it together so that I can create a summary that can be presented to board level, to operations, to management, whoever needs to be aware of it.
And how long would that take, Eugene?
Minutes.
Minutes. So if you look at the way you work now, a year or so ago, how much time is that saving you?
I would say that I've increased probably 60, 75% in terms of efficiency, like 100%. Something that would take a week is taking less than a day.
Excellent. And so
So,
that's a great example of how we can really let and allow AI to become an integral part of the way that we work so that we can be more productive. And then, as I said earlier, we can free up those gray matters to really focus on the things that are going to be those game changers, those slight tweaks that will elevate your work and allow you to do more. And I think we're all trying to find out ways to do more in less time, right?
Yep.
Time is
Yep.
fixed. We only have X amount of hours per day. So if
Yep.
we're using AI, we're able to get more done in less time and hopefully a better work product. But again, remembering that we get to decide how we want to use AI and making sure that our uniqueness and our skill set and the strengths and the expertise that we bring, that making sure that that is highlighted in our end product as well.
Yeah, and I wanted to add in that too. It would also create PowerPoints. It'll create spreadsheets. It'll do, you got the Power Platform. It'll do all of that for you. Me personally, I like to write my own papers, etc. So it will put that into it and then just put it in a way that I like and that I can customize it. One other thing that I want to put in there, you also can get AI to abide by GDPR, HIPAA. So that's also embedded into it so that you are also being correct in terms of the regulatory framework that you operate in. Obviously, with HIPAA coming down the pipeline, that's something that we can incorporate into our ecosystem through AI.
That's a really good point around personal identifiable information and protecting that. So thank you so much for saying that. For me, in terms of the work that I do, how that helps me from a day-to-day perspective is if I'm creating content or if I am putting together a proposal, I can use AI to at least help me to set up the framework. And then I can then go in and backfill and make it more bespoke and personalized and relevant to the client. And so that has shaved off, I would say, probably close to the percentages that you gave earlier, which frees up time for me now to invest in other parts of the business. So it allows us to take time and to use time in a much more effective way. So I personally think it's a phenomenal thing. So as we look at AI and as we look at how we're incorporating that and as we're looking at the future, what are some of the things that you would say that organization need to be aware of as this particular tool continues to evolve?
I think they just need to understand primarily what it is they would like to get from AI. I think they need to understand that 100% because if you don't have a proper strategy for using it, it won't work. I think there needs to be data integrity. I think there needs to be making sure that your data is correct, it's integral, that it's consistent. Because if your data is not good, AI is not going to produce anything that's worth using. I think you need to look at the cost of doing it. I think you need to look at, the applications that you use. Does it integrate well with the applications that you currently have? Because AI can be very expensive to integrate into an organization. And there definitely needs to be a human element in there. Always keep the human element as part of your AI strategy so that you don't get things like, I'll mention it, hallucinations. An example of that would be, we did a video once about Bermuda, and it fed in all the data that it understood about Bermuda, and it gave a picture of a gumbe, which is from another island other than Bermuda, and it showed a beach scene, which was not Bermuda. But if you don't know Bermuda, you think, hey, that's Bermuda. Well, it's an accurate picture, but it's incorrect. That's hallucination. AI can do that. So that's why you need that human intervention to fact check to make sure that things are good. I guess if I have to sort of finish off with one thing, artificial intelligence is artificial. Human intelligence is authentic. That's something that artificial intelligence will never beat us on. We have authentic intelligence. We understand emotions. We understand bias. We understand all of those things, and we can react much faster than artificial intelligence can and be more correct.
Look at that. We can be more correct than AI. And I love the point that, it's our authenticity that really lends credence to the unique value proposition that we bring to our jobs and to our organization. So one final question as we look at that quote that I thought was just so appropriate. From your perspective, and I put that there's a little, if you can see that little screenshot there of an iRobot scene. If I'm dating myself here, but in iRobot, there's a scene at the end where the robot winks at Will Smith's character, and I remember going, "Oh my gosh, it's alive." From your perspective, should we be excited or should we be afraid as you look at the outlook of AI going forward? What's your perspective?
So I think that was a cool movie. I did like it, and the wink was amazing, and it's great. It's fiction, for the reason that I just mentioned. Artificial intelligence is not at the point now where it has emotions. It learns emotions from the data that it has, but it doesn't have what we have, which is the authentic emotion. We can react, we see things, we feel things. Artificial intelligence does not have that. So therefore, I would say that as great as that movie was, I would not be, just, oh my gosh, it's going to happen, robots are going to take over. If that happens for other reasons, but not because of its ability to be authentic.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I remember that scene so well.
Yes.
So as we wrap up, all generations, regardless of whether you're a boomer, a Gen Xer, a millennial, a Gen Z, then they have zillennials, which is like between the Gen Zs and millennials. And then we have our alphas that are coming in the next 5 to 6 years, they'll be hopping into the workplace. Regardless of what generation you find yourself in, it is clear that AI will help us to work smarter. It will allow us to be able to be more productive and to interact better because we're seeing it and using it as a productive tool that will be impactful both in the way we work individually, how we work in teams, and therefore how we drive the results of our organization. As I said earlier, listen, we all made it through a 1 in 100-year event called a pandemic, and we're all here. So it means that we've all adjusted, we've all adapted, we've all become more agile, and we've all become more confident with change. And so this is just one more change, one more leap that we're all going to make together. So we can do it again. And I really love the optimism, Eugene, that you bring around AI and putting it in its right perspective as well. We're hoping that through this conversation that perhaps we have somehow changed your perspective or changed your mindset around how AI can help you to position yourself better, allow you to be more creative, more innovative, and to tap into that gray matter even more so that you can create more value added for your organization and create a workplace that is more AI inclusive. So if you'd like to reach out to us, you can do that by email or you can contact us directly on LinkedIn. Eugene, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your wealth of knowledge and experience in plain language that even someone like me can understand. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Have a good afternoon and a rest of day wherever you are. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.